Well, hello everybody. This is Todd Creager. Today I'm talking about the topic title of which is called Rethinking Foreplay, more than just a warm-up. So in my travels as a sex therapist, there are still so many sexual myths that are going on that one of my challenges and I'd say passions is to debunk sexual myths. And one is that foreplay is some physical act that you do to get the whole process started that ultimately leads to sexual intercourse. Sexual intercourse is the main event in this kind of paradigm. Foreplay is really just something to get you there. But not only am I going to debunk that whole idea, we're going to change what foreplay really means. Foreplay, for me, is less of an act than it is creating an energy. It's like if you've ever been excited about going on vacation, there's anticipation in going on vacation. There's thinking about where you're going. You've looked at pictures on the internet if you've never been there before. If you have, you think about how that was and you're looking forward to it. You're immersed in that energy, right? It's the same with foreplay. It's creating an energy of anticipation more than anything else. Foreplay not only is a physical act. Now, by the way, foreplay is physical, and foreplay can be the end result too. I mean, many people still think that sexual intercourse is the main event, but it really is not so true, and it's really harmful actually to think of it that way. I'm not against sexual intercourse. That sounds all great to me, but for some people, for physical reasons, sometimes they can't even do penetrative type of sex, and for those people, we don't want them to think that foreplay is just a warm-up. It could be the end, the beginning, the middle, and the end. It's wonderful. But beyond that, like I'm saying, it's not just that foreplay it can be physical and that is enough, but that foreplay is not just physical. So foreplay involves, I would say, exploring yourself and the other person, opening up to what's new, discovering what's new, being creative, and bonding in the deepest of ways. In the deepest of ways. You know, one of the things that I've talked about in other discussions is that there's a certain different stages of love. And then the first stage of love, which you would say is the lust stage, is when chemicals, the testosterone is flowing in both the men and the women, and dopamine is high, and you have these feelings. I mean, you don't need to do much. The chemistry is doing it for you. And then in the second stage, the romance stage, also the chemistry is doing it for you. And that the dopamine, the norepinephrine, and the serotonin is high, and it's exciting. But then as you continue the relationship in a committed relationship and you move to the attachment style and serotonin goes up and the dopamine and norepinephrine goes down, that's when people can tend to get into ruts. That's so what happens is where in the beginning of relationships, many times it's all about the flirting and the teasing and the playfulness and sharing a little but not everything at once. All that playfulness is what creates the excitement. Then you know each other, you think you know each other, and then that's the end of it, right? But it's not. This is when we have to put some effort in, and we want to create an energetic atmosphere of foreplay. Foreplay is something that is an attitude. It's taking a chance with each other. It's sharing something about yourself that maybe something that you would really like to do, and it might not even have anything to do with the bedroom. That's what I'm trying to say. It's about energy. It's about aliveness. So if I bring up a new idea, a new thought, hey, let's try this. We've never done this before. Let's try this type of food and just play. And then when you go to the restaurant, instead of just sitting, you maybe say, let's talk about things we've never talked about before. Let me find something else about you that I've never asked. I'm going to ask you a question I have never asked you before, something so I get to know a little bit more about you. I'm telling you that is foreplay. That is foreplay because it's raising the energy. It's it's finding new ways to be playful with each other. And I'm not just talking about in the bedroom. I'll get there in a minute. But what I'm talking about is that energy of banter, of teasing, of humor. And we got to spend time getting out of our doldrums and out of our routines so that we could have that playfulness about us and have that sense of humor and enjoy the person. But I'm going to go back to what I just said about inquisitiveness. What's great about being inquisitive and curious, it is one of the biggest ingredients of foreplay, because you're letting the person know, I'm thinking about you. I'm focusing on you. You're special to me. I'm all about you right now. And I want to know, what was your favorite movie of all time? And why was it your favorite movie? Something even as, you could say, mundane as that, can increase the aliveness in the relationship. I see that as foreplay. Now, of course, texting, romantic texts, complimenting, trying something new in the bedroom, that's all part of it. That's all part of the playfulness, the tease. What we really want to do is recognize that the biggest challenge to this kind of playfulness, to this foreplay, is fear. Fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of being rejected. One of the most important aspects of good foreplay is to, in a sense, be willing to take a chance with your partner, a willingness to be rejected. What we find with couples that are practicing being playful and silly and even thinking about, what can I do that would add some novelty into our relationship? What can I text my partner that will bring a smile to my partner's face? When we start to do that, we find that even with conflict, that we get out of it faster. There's a certain goodwill that's created between two people when they're playing together, when they're having fun, so that when there is conflict and there's anger and there's frustration, that they kind of get through it faster. It's that, like I said, that positive will. There's John Gottman, a famous marriage researcher, talks about positive sentiment override. And of course, there's negative sentiment override as well, where people are stuck in negativity a lot. No matter what positive is going on, they stay in the negative. But when we realize that foreplay is about that aliveness and playing and connecting and talking and sharing, being novel with each other, saying, hey, I'm taking you to a new place. Or to say, I'm taking you to a new place and I'm not telling you where it is. I'm going to surprise you and just go with it. Okay, those kinds of things, that's all foreplay. It gives the partner an experience of, wow, you are valuing us as lovers. We're not just being task-oriented here. This is about play. So think of foreplay as play. And it doesn't always come before anything. It's play. Now, do people that have foreplay and that are physically capable of having sexual intercourse have more sexual intercourse as a rule? Absolutely. Absolutely, that is true. There's no question. But remember that the goal here is to be new and novel and creative and exploring, find new ways to bond with each other. That's foreplay. That is foreplay. You got, one of the things that I've said is that the biggest aphrodisiac in long-term relationships is when you have the freedom to be yourself. Well, we want this relationship to be a relationship where more of myselves could come out. There's, sure, my worker self, my father self, in my case, my relationship self. But what about my playful self? What are the selves that maybe I've left behind, at least with you over time? I need to discover it. I need to access it. And how can I act in ways that help you access those parts of you that have been kind of getting a little rusty, little dusty? Let's go for it. So let's look at our relationship as a creative enterprise and have that playfulness both in the bedroom and out of the bedroom. Let's flirt again. Let's tease each other and make that a priority. Like I said, not only is it going to help you deal with the negative issues in your relationship more quickly, but that you are going to have more joy. And I can tell you this, more joy leads to greater health, both physical and emotional. So there's many, many reasons why it's worth to be courageous in a relationship. Foreplay does require some courage, and it does require consistency and intention to create that playful relationship. So that was my message for today. Thank you very much. Again, this is Todd Creager, making the world safe for love.